Well, Ryan, we're 4 weeks into the season, and I think I need a redo on our Stanley Cup and playoff predictions. Let's
Let me
redo
think.
that show.
You predicted from the Eastern Conference
Don't say it.
the team coming out to the Stanley Cup final would be, hang on, checks my notes, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Wow.
And instead, I am going to
We're,
say the couch is open.
the couch is definitely open for
Lie
those
down,
for those
spill your guts.
listeners that we do have some new listeners this year that don't understand what the couch is. Ryan and I like to play amateur psychiatrist for each other at different points of the season on who's having a worst portion of the season or run of games. And right now, clearly the Leafs are there, and I'm about to lie on the couch and have Ryan be my psychologist because
Yep.
I need one. I'm losing more hair by the moment.
And that's dangerous for you. You don't
The-
you don't
I,
don't have a lot to
thanks.
lose.
Wow. The guy with the best hair calling out the guy with the worst hair. Okay. Let's get into it because I'm just apoplectic about how poorly the Leafs have come out start the season. They couldn't have started the season on a worse note. Like they
Well, they could
have
have lost
looked,
another 4 games. They have
they
four
could
wins
have,
under
but
their
look at
belt.
they've played really uninspired hockey. That's the word I have to use. Uninspired, uninterested. They are playing more in their defensive zone than they are playing in the offensive zone. They actually climbed 3 points, three rankings this week. They are 26th out of 32 teams with the amount of time spent in the O zone.
Ooh.
They're only spending 39.6% of their time in the O zone, which the average is 41.1 time in the O zone. That is terrible. And I think Berube said it this past week when he said, I'm tired of what's going on. They're one and done on every rush. There's no offensive zone presence,
Mm-hmm.
no puck possession, no down low winning of battles. Like team can't win a puck battle down low. The defensive zone, we're in our defensive zone 42.5% of the time, 25th out of 32 teams. Average again, 41.1%. We are terrible in our own zone. And by the way, the Leafs rank in the bottom three of defending the rush.
Hmm.
They can't stop the puck on the run. They're getting too disconnected. They're not playing as a five-man unit, and it's usually an odd man rush or a defenseman coming from the back end, and the forwards aren't properly covering the defenseman. A defenseman getting a wide open play or a shot or being the trailer, and it's
So that's
just
a
not working.
that's a back pressure issue from the forwards you're calling out.
Oh, I think that's what I'm saying. It's not a defensive issue. It's not a Stolharts or goaltending issue. It's a five-man unit play style. They're just not
Hmm.
defending well. They're not covering well. Forwards aren't helping out. Defensemen are making bad decisions. It's just ugly. It's just ugly hockey. It's just not fun to watch. So definitely sitting on the couch. As I said, here's the other problem. They're 28th on the power play and they're 15th in the penalty kill. That's terrible. Last couple of years, they have led the league in or close to the top of the league in power play,
Mm-hmm.
and they have been good on the penalty kill. And this year, they're not. Now, look, they've had some injuries. Tanev out. Riley had a little bit out. They've got obviously,
Willie's out.
yeah. Willie's been out. But they're just the next man up mentality, right? It's just not there. Goals for. This is the weird thing. Their goals for. They're seventh in the league. They're next not that bad, but they're sixth worst in goals against at 33, and they're a -2. That is just not going to get you anywhere. They're 21st in shots on goal and 17th on shot attempts. They're not getting pucks to the net, and they're not getting pucks on the net. There's just zero, and it goes back to what Stolhart said earlier on in the season. The goaltenders on the other end are playing catch. They're getting to see the puck. They're
Right.
not getting anybody in front. There's we
Well,
got
hang
look
on.
at we
You just
got
said they're doing fine in scoring goals.
yeah, but they're not getting their shots on goal. They're 21st, and so they're getting lucky somehow. They're scoring a
Mm.
lot of empty nets, goals, and games that have been out of control. So you got to filter those into it. Here's the difference. Carolina leads in offensive zone time at 45.1. That's 6% better than the Leafs. And I know that 6%, you say, oh, that's not that much. In hockey time, that's a
Yeah.
lot of time.
Oh yeah.
So that's just not spending enough time on the offensive zone. And they're not winning puck battles. They're not possessing the puck. Again, it's one and done. And Yeah, as good as there's been a few players playing really well, there's just a lot of guys with our big bodies of McMahon and Nyes. We're just not winning puck battles and possessing the puck. And one of the things that Berube had said in the last week is one of the reasons why he's put Michelli. It's one of the reasons why he tried Cowan on the top line is to own the puck, to try and disperse the puck and try and control the ozone. But it's not working. We got to figure it out. And this goes back to last week, what you said. You know, Matthews, who's had some brilliant moments, is just not taking the team to that next level. He's not playing that next level. He's got to own the C, he's got to own the leadership, and you don't feel that from him. You don't feel the passion coming from the team right now. And if it wasn't for Stolhart's right now, who's played really well, and Keith Primo's won both of his Keith Primo. Keith Primo, yeah.
Hayden Primo,
Hayden Primo.
the not NHL goalie.
Not the NHL, bro. The nephew of Primo. His two games he actually played pretty well. So but it's good to see Wolves coming back this week.
Yeah.
But we have to figure this out early. We've talked about letting this get away from us. And
Well, where would you
now
guys be
about to
without
enter
Tavares and
November
how
here.
well he's playing at his age? The guy's just like a
You
rock.
can't blame Tavares at this point. But you know what? Again, you've the leadership of the team, and if the leadership of the team is Matthews, you've got to own the leadership, and you've got to play inspired hockey. And I'm not seeing it right now. You know, it
Well, let
just
me suggest something to you that might be controversial, to say the least. What if you had what if the open wing position on the first line is not the problem? What
I
if
don't think it's
Nyes is the problem?
Well, they
What if
did
you
try.
had what if you had like they were going to go with the quote nuclear option and put William Nylander and Austin Matthews together? What if you put Nylander, Matthews, and Dakota Joshua together?
Well, they tried something similar against Buffalo on Saturday night. They did put Nylander, Matthews, or sorry, Friday night because Nylander was out on Saturday. Friday night they
Yeah.
put Nylander, Matthews with McMahon. So it
Mm-hmm.
was that option of a big guy with the two guys that
Mm-hmm.
are supposed to possess the puck, and it didn't work.
Mm.
For whatever reason, it just again, but they're bouncing things around so much. At some point, as much as I love Berube, and I know things aren't working, and you've got some new guys in the lineup, and you need to give them a chance. He's bouncing lines around so much, trying to find that chemistry and that spark to make them work.
Yep.
Almost too much. If they're going to lose, let them figure it out together. Let them find some lines that are somewhat gelling, and let them figure it out. And on the ice, and again, the leaders in that situation need to be the leaders. And I
Mm-hmm.
call out Matthews. I call out Nylander. I know they're close to the top of the team in points and stuff, but you don't sing it on the ice. Too many one and dones, not controlling the puck down low, not controlling the end zone time, and
Well, they clearly
it's
have to
costing
give.
us.
They clearly need to give Nick Robertson more ice time. That's the
Oh,
problem.
I told you I wasn't going there today. He's bad. Like he is 8 games in, 2 points, -3. Just keep him off the ice. Let him develop. Let him learn. Let Cowan in there. He's 3 points in 6 games and a +3, and he's actually playing in more key times than Robertson's playing. So let him learn. Let him in there at this point and
Mm-hmm.
let him figure it out. And I know I can't call out my sources, but I know that a lot of people in the know are asking why is Robertson even getting a sniff of the ice, and that can't happen when you've got hockey experts sitting out there going, what are they doing putting him on the ice? It's just he doesn't win a puck battle, and he's just not in the right
Sources
place.
say.
Sources say I
Okay.
can't say it. That's secret sources.
Sources say. Okay. All right. So
So that's my couch
overall,
session.
you're not really happy with the Maple Leafs right now.
Oh, but how can you be? You know, a year that so much promise. They made a bunch of moves to make the team. Oh, look at we knew Marner was going to be gone, but we
Yeah,
made a
Marner
bunch
is
of
a big
moves.
loss. You don't lose a
Tr
100-point
Yeah,
player,
absolutely.
and
But we said it had to be spread around the team. You had to have the leadership of the team, and Matthews and Nylander step up and carry this team and help them get to the next level and spread around. And we're not seeing that. And I don't
yeah,
think it's a look. I'm not sure that if Marner was in the lineup right now, that would make a ton of difference. And that's hard to say
yeah.
because the inspired play just isn't there. They look like they're just going through the motions, and that's
They
not
also look
good.
a little slow, especially on the back end, and that could be a huge
Yeah.
problem for
Oh,
them,
absolutely, absolutely.
especially come
But
springtime.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. 100%. So that's my couch session for this week.
Okay, how you feel? You feeling a little better? You
Feeling
got
a
it
little
off your
bit better.
chest?
Got it off my
Okay,
chest. But
good.
look at the flip side of things. Look at the Habs.
The 7-3
Seven and
Habs
three. Looking
feeling really
good.
good. Feeling really good.
Holy
Look,
moly.
they're ahead of where I was hoped they'd be after their first 10 games. I'd hoped they'd be at 6-4 and looking, like the borderline playoff team they were last year, maybe a little plus, and they look a lot better than that. But still, they look like a young team. A lot of one-goal games, a lot of stress holding leads. There haven't been total 60-minute efforts yet. I'm hoping to see a little bit more of that once they come back from their
They
West Coast trip and they
they
get a little bit
should
of
be
sleep.
8-2.
They should.
Let
Oh, well,
let's
that
talk
game against
about
Edmonton was
Edmonton, and the
insane.
refereeing in that game was terrible.
It was the worst pair of penalty calls back to back I've seen in a while. Now, look, you still got to kill those penalties, right? But the fact that those penalties were called in the first place, I've seen frustrated players shoot the puck out of their net after a goal against 10,000 times in my life. I've never seen an unsportsmanlike call gone with that. And the fact that they called Josh Anderson on that in such a critical time
But did
in
that
the
puck
third
even hit the
period,
other end of the zone? Like
he
he
just shot
slapped
it
the
out.
puck, but he barely hit it.
It
That
was.
was a joke.
I've never seen Brandon Gallagher looks so more upset in his entire career than he did. And this was just a regular season game in October because it was an absolutely horrendous call. But
I
look,
hope
it is what
I
it
hope those
is.
refs were fined, but as we've said, the
Yep.
refs are never going to be called out officially by the NHL.
Yep.
Where they'll get them is they're on a grading system,
Yeah,
and
they
that's
won't get in the
gotta hurt
playoffs.
that guy by playing in
Oh,
the playoffs because
that was
that was
just
just
atrocious.
atrocious.
Atrocious. The Canadians should be 8-2.
Yeah,
The power play looks great the last couple of games since they moved rookie sensation Ivan Demidov to PP1.
he's looked pretty good. He got a
He's
special one there, I think.
Yeah, this kid could be something really special.
Can we have him?
But no, you can't have him. Sorry. um, the one thing that kind of I would say concerns me, but it creates a problem that I don't know the solution to, is before you had Suzuki on one wing and Caulfield on the other in his shooting position, his one-timer shooting position. Then he lost that. He lost that position to line A for a while. And then they moved line A down to PP2. And now he's gone for 3 or 4
Yeah,
months.
and how's that affecting the team now? He's gone for 5 months, I read.
Better. Now that they put Anderson, Evans, and Gallagher together again, that's like the quote momentum
So
line.
it's actually answered some questions
I
or
think
solved some problems
I
or
think
issues.
so. I think so. I mean, they still got to work out a little bit more on who are you going to pair Demidov with 5-on-5? How do you get Kirby Dach back into the rotation in a way where he's not defensively exposed? But all of those things to be answered later. But to finish my thought on the power play, now you've got Cole Caulfield, who is a stone cold assassin with his shot, more or less playing at the goal line in that sort of below the goal line area, and his shooting opportunities come when he curls up on a rotation. And you would ideally, I think, like to have him in a more consistent shooting spot. But look, if it's working, it's working. I just think it's something that the architects of this power play, Marty St. Louis and the assistants, have to figure out a way to.
But he can also stick handle the phone booth, which was in that Edmonton game. He scored one.
Yeah, that goal was pretty sweet, wasn't it?
Pretty sweet. So,
Yeah.
So,
well, they've scored a bunch of goals. They've given up a bunch as well. They've won some 4-3, 5-4 games and lost a 6-5 game. But I think once they start to tone things up a little bit, they're going to be in good shape.
So let me ask you a question then, because you're off to such a good start.
Mm-hmm.
Which goaltender are you feeling is your number one or your go-to guy at the moment? Because
I think you need to ride Dobush a little bit harder than you were expecting.
He's looked pretty good
until Montembeault finds his game again. Monty's having a little struggle. There's no question about it. But he's a pretty even-keeled kid. I don't think he's going to panic. He's going to find his game, and I think the practices he's going to get this week, because after tomorrow night's game, they don't play again until Saturday.
Right.
Which might be the longest break they have all season.
Well, this might be their partial week off that front half of the season, partial week off. They all teams
Yeah,
get it at some point. So
yeah.
maybe this is that week for the Montreal
Uh,
Canadiens.
but they look great. They're fun to watch. It's certainly entertaining hockey. The one thing you were saying about the Leafs was that it was hard to watch. This, even when they're like, I'm tearing my hair out in this game against Edmonton, and the way and how poorly they played in the first period against Vancouver 2 nights later, they are entertaining to watch. It is
They're
a
fast,
fun brand of hockey to watch.
fast, speed. The speed. That's one thing I noticed watching them compared to the Leafs is just the speed. And
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see once Toronto gets to the West and has to play teams like Colorado, the Golden Knights, Dallas, those other teams that have speed in their lineup, how they're going to match up. And right now, they're, as you said earlier, they're slow-footed, and it's not going to be helpful, especially on
yeah,
the back end. And that can't happen.
yep,
Like I said,
absolutely.
we're already not defending the rush very well. Teams are just going to be coming at us full speed, and we're not going to know what to do with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's been great to have Wool back, but Wool, like I said, goaltending hasn't been the problem with the Leafs. It's
No, it's
been
been pretty much everything else.
every, everything else.
All
And then
right, let's
not
take a
having
look around.
Tanev out is not going to help either. But let's get
No,
around the league here.
let's
Let's
get around the league. So, first thing I want to do is shout out to two super hot teams, Utah and New Jersey. Um, raise your hand if you had Nick Schmaltz having 17 points in 10 games.
who?
Exact. Well, no, Nick. If you're in the West, you've known who Nick Schmaltz is for a
Yes, I
while.
know,
Like,
but still,
yeah,
90% of the people listening to this podcast
probably
aren't
don't
going to
know
know
who
who
he
he is.
is. But Nick Schmaltz is playing fit. 10 goals, 7 assists, on
Fantastic.
fire. Like second in the league in scoring. Logan Cooley, 7 goals, 4 assists, 11 points.
He's looking for
His
that
coming out
new.
Party.
He's looking for that new contract. He's already turned something down. So,
That's true. That's true.
Cha-king.
But he's doing really well. They're getting contributions up and down the lineup, playing really, really well, looking fantastic in these new unis.
I like them.
I'm a big fan of the Utah uh,
Mammoth.
Mammoth uniform. I think it is it's what the Winnipeg Jets uniform probably should look like. But
Yeah.
no, I don't want to take anything away. Winnipeg's uniform is fine, but
I like
the
Jets
Utah one is
uniforms.
the Utah uniform is excellent,
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
And then secondly, the New Jersey Devils, who look, I picked them to go to the final last year. I can't even remember where I picked them to go this year, but I knew they were going to be a lot better, and they are a lot better. I mean, Jack
Oh,
Hughes is playing like a Hart candidate.
8 straight.
Yeah,
Again, talk about a speed team. They're run and gun hockey, which is working. And I'm not a Keith fan, as you know. But this team is looking good. And, even without, they don't have Markstrom right now, but they don't seem to need him
well,
at
they
the
got Jake
moment.
Allen.
So,
I
yeah, Jake
mean,
Allen.
yeah,
But
but look, the New Jersey Devils are. It's especially galling for New Yorkers when the Rangers should be better than they are, and then they could look across the river and the Devils are just kicking ass. That's
yeah,
probably tough for Rangers fans, and I know a few of them. So
the
stick with it,
Rangers
gentlemen.
just
I'm
look
sure they'll get a
bad.
little bit better. I'm sure they'll get a little bit better, and I'm sure the Devils will return to earth a little bit anyway. But
I don't
they're
know. Like you
looking
said, you
good.
called New Jersey early, and I
Mhm.
have to hand it to you too. Like Utah, you were calling them since last year. They barely didn't make the playoffs last year. I think you called them to make the playoffs this
Yep.
year. I have to go back and look at the notes. I should have them here with me, but I don't. And you definitely called New Jersey. So,
Well, it's the Logan. I mean, we all knew that that Dylan Gunther was going to be good, but his coming out party maybe came out a little bit faster than we expected.
yeah,
And they are a very, very good looking team right now.
yeah, no
Um,
question. Can they sustain it? That's the question
yeah,
mark, right?
and
Is
then
that
part of yeah
sustainable for that team? I still question the goaltending a little bit in Utah.
is
So
that because you can't pronounce his name, or it's because you really question whether
I
he's
would say
good?
both. Any goaltender I can't pronounce his name is and has too many syllables shouldn't be a
you,
goaltender in the
you,
NHL.
you just tell his name starts with a V. They're like, all right, I'm done.
I'm done.
All
Absolutely.
right. Then let's talk about 4 teams
Yep.
who were supposed to suck and do not. at least so far in the season. Chicago, Anaheim, Pittsburgh, and Seattle. Maybe not so much Anaheim. Some people thought they would take a step forward, but they've been good. Let's start with Chicago. They are currently in a wild card spot, which
Yeah,
nobody expected.
yeah,
Is
they're
that
in a four-way
sustainable?
tie for a
Yeah,
playoff
fair
spot.
enough.
But
But
yes,
like, most when everybody thought they were having another lottery year,
yeah,
they're taking the step forward that
yeah.
a lot of people
I,
were hopeful they would take.
I think we had them challenging for last place with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And the Penguins actually aren't looking too
The
bad
Penguins
to
look pretty good
start
too. Now,
either.
look,
It's 7-2-1.
The Penguins have picked up
But
a lot of
yeah,
wins over weak teams, but
yeah. But I think one of the things,
Crosby is
well,
on fire.
let's stick with Chicago for a second. I think
Yeah.
you have to a little bit clap your hands a little bit for Bedard, who has arguably had a rough second year last year.
Hmm.
Is picked it up, is playing a lot better, playing a better two-way game.
Yep.
So you have to hand it to him, and some of the other pieces that they brought in is somewhat working. But again, I'm going to go with on that one unsustainable. I still think
Unsustainable.
that Chicago's still going to find their way out of the playoffs. I don't necessarily think anymore that they're going to be challenging the Penguins for the last place, but they might be down there with the New York Rangers eventually. But I'm going to call that one unsustainable if we had to vote. How about you?
Okay. I think it's unsustainable in terms of a playoff position, but I think they have improved. And
Yep.
look, Frank Nazar is becoming the player that they expected. They're getting another year of, Lev Shinov, who, supposedly a top two defenseman. He's starting to play a lot better. I don't know if he's that yet, but Dickinson playing very well. Your old buddy Ilya Mikheyev is, a very serviceable player.
Campbell's
He's
soup.
contributing points. Campbell's soup. um, Tuvo Teravainen playing well. The resurrected corpse of Ryan Donato is apparently
Yeah, and look, some
contributing
better
in a
coaching
meaningful
this year
way,
too. You got to
and
hand
some
it
better
some better
coaching.
coaching.
I think Chicago can realistically maintain close to a 500 level this year.
Wow, that's pretty. That's
I
encouraging.
I
I
think
still call it unsustainable, but I agree that they're not going to fall as low as we think they do.
right.
Yeah. So who's
Uh,
the next team that you
Next
want
is on Anaheim. Let's talk about Anaheim for a second and I know you don't get to see them
to? I
much.
don't get to see him very much.
But let's think about it this way. Okay. This is a young team and a young team that has made moves. And as much as I, hate for, Pat Verbeek as a GM, because they seem to be working out. And you've got their score. They've got 25 goals and 25 goals against, right? So they're not
Yep.
great defensively, but Troy Terry is having a bounce back year. Leo Carlson is taking the next step forward in his
Absolutely.
progression.
Let's go. Let also talk about their back end here. Like Truba is actually having a bounce back year.
Oh yeah.
Truba right now is how many points he's got? Freeing Bears points, 5 points, but he's a +8. Where was he on the Rangers at this point last year? If he was not a -8, I'd be
Well,
surprised.
look at Chris Kreider's got 5 points, and
Absolutely.
most of those are goals. The rookie Bennett Seneke, most people thought he would have gotten his cup of coffee and been sent back down to juniors. He's holding steady,
Yep.
doing well. Michael Granlund or Mikael Granlund, still playing great, playing
Yep.
great.
Yeah.
They've made some good moves. They've got some experience. Alex Killorn, Radko Gudas on the back end. So to
I
go
hate that guy.
with Jackson Lacombe, the $8 million, who's he?
Who's he?
But they've got a strong
2 points and a +1 for your 8 million. Thank
for
you
your
very
$8 million.
much.
But he's I guess they've got a strong back line,
Yeah.
between
No.
Minchukov and Zellweger. It's young, but they're
Yeah.
doing well.
Yeah.
They're
And look
doing
at
well.
the
I think they could be a 500 team this year too.
yeah.
Then
I don't disagree with you, but again, probably not a playoff team.
play
Good
probably not a
young
playoff team.
team. making strides, a lot like Chicago. They're making some strides, which they need to do. Every team needs to, every year when they're young talent like that, needs to continue to
Yep.
notch it up a little bit to get into that. And I think Chicago and Anaheim are good
Yep.
examples of that slow climb towards respectability.
Yep. Yep.
Who's next?
Pittsburgh.
Okay. Yep. What do you want to say
You
about
got nothing
Pittsburgh?
to say about Pittsburgh. I still think they're going to trade Eric Carlson before all is said and done.
Oh, I just, you know what, this one is the biggest surprise to me, I think. No one saw them coming out the way they currently are playing. I think that, um, again, I think I called at the beginning of the season in our preview special that they were going to potentially be in the running for the highest percentage for the first overall pick.
Yep.
And Malkin's having an all-star
This
year.
39-year-old Evgeny Malkin having 100 and what's he on pace for?
Like
130 points or
something
something?
ridiculous. But
Yeah.
the stat to me, the points aside, the stat to me for him right now that is the most astonishing is the +6 because that guy does not know how to play in his own end.
No.
And to be a +6 right now, even though he's got 16 points, that's still impressive. Sidney Crosby's having a great year at 14 points. This guy, Captain Canada, and I know we're not going to get into the Olympics, talk about the Olympics. We'll wait till next week to have a little bit of conversation on that. But if this guy's not the captain of Team Canada right now, put the C on him right now because he's playing inspired hockey. And look, they're also dragging. I wouldn't say dragging. They've got a bunch of young kids on this team, and they're all playing well. They're
Right.
all playing really decent hockey. It's hard to you go through this lineup.
Can they sustain it?
Can they sustain it? But even Eric Carlson's +7. Like you can't. It's hard to find a guy that's in the negatives. Like even the worst guys, Connor Clifton at -3. Like that is they're playing a good team hockey. They're scoring goals. They're keeping them out of their own net. You
But they
know,
have played a bit of a cupcake schedule so far.
yeah. But Tristan Jarry and Silovs are both playing well. Both have
Well,
save
it's
percentages.
mostly Silovs, and
Well,
that
they
is
both
not,
played 5 games. They both
that
played
is
5 games.
absolutely, yeah. But most of the wins have been Silovs. Like I think that's
Yeah.
unsustainable. He's not a good goalie.
Yeah, but Tristan Jarry was a good goaltender,
Eh,
and he's got to get it back. There's no question.
eh.
Maybe he wants a Team Canada spot.
I think Pittsburgh finishes the season under 500 still. I
So
think
so far three. We've
they're
got
coming back to
one
earth.
maybe hold, one dipping, and
Yeah.
now one really
I
going off
think
the cliff.
I think Pittsburgh's coming down to earth. And
I
here's
would
the
tend
one
to agree
that's
with you, but
here's the one that's going to surprise you the most.
okay, I'm waiting for this one.
Seattle. I
Seattle.
I think Seattle can stay competitive.
Wow.
And here's why.
Why?
They've
Give it
got a
to me.
balance. They're going to struggle to score a lot of goals. They've got, two average top two lines. Their top six is average, maybe a little bit below average. But they got Joey Decord in goal, who just continually just surprises everybody. Okay. And they've got a surprisingly good D. Like you don't think a lot about Vince Dunn, Brandon Montour, Josh Mahura. Alexiak still has it, although he's probably 75 years old at this point. Adam Larson, Ryan Lindgren. They've got a serviceable D up and down the lineup. They don't have, a defensive pairing that you could really target.
Yeah.
So, look, they're not like some teams that have 67 ways of beating you. I think that this is a team that is going to like win a lot of 2-1, 3-2 games, but I think they're going to win a lot of 2-1, 3-2 games.
Well, a good defensive coach now too. Again, here's coaching change that's
Yeah.
done. It's got them playing a little bit better defensively, playing in their own end, playing a team game. Again, it's hard to find a guy up and down this lineup that is not a plus,
Yep.
and that's key. Like again, completely different to some other teams we've talked about. My Leafs is a pure example, but again, a team game that, to your point,
Yep.
playing well in their own end, not going to score a lot of goals, but aren't going to give up a ton either, right? And you got some good leadership with Eberle and
You know what they
and
remind me
others.
of? You know what they remind me of? They remind me of Calgary last year. That they're just going to hang around the playoff picture. May
Yeah, but
probably not make it, but hang around the playoff picture up until the end of the year because they're kind of stingy.
So you think they're going to make the playoffs or not going to make the playoffs?
I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I
All
think
right.
they're going to be. I think they're going to be
Going to be
competitive.
competitive. The difference with though with Calgary last year, it was Wolf. Like it's really showing right now how well Wolf played last
That
year
game against
to drag
Montreal,
them up.
he kept Calgary in the game. That game should have been 9-1,
And such a tiny guy. He's so quick and
right?
he's played so well. But again, their lack of scoring ability right now is just killing them.
Yeah,
It's absolutely killing them.
yeah.
And they're in Toronto this week, tomorrow night actually. So wind up the Kadri rumors because I'm sure tomorrow night they're going to be all over. The broadcasters, everybody,
Do
the
they need
media
a
is all
three
going to
C
talk
though?
about it.
They need wing. They need scoring
They need a
wings.
spark. They need somebody that's going to provide a spark and some
Yeah,
personality because I think that could be what they're missing right now. They're missing a little bit of personality and a little bit of a spark. Someone to,
truculence. They need the Brian Burke truculence.
yes, absolutely. They don't have it. They don't have it right now.
All right, so we've got a little bit of time left. There are a couple things that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Number one, and we touched on this a little bit last year and very very briefly in one of our earlier episodes this year. We got to talk about this Amazon Prime Monday broadcast team
Do we?
because they suck.
Is it worth talking about?
Yes, it is worth talking about because I want to rant on it a little
Okay,
bit.
before you go though, because the actual game broadcast is fine.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. Jody Shelley is not
He,
bad, but he's not great. John
it's the
Forsland's great.
studio show
The studio show
is
is
absolutely unwatchable.
so you have a host in Adnan Verk who is competent at best, right?
He's
He's
not a
just
host. Zero
he's
personality.
yeah, he tries, but he's the part of his problem is he's kind of got the Liam McHugh role, but he doesn't have anybody with personality to bounce anything off of.
Well,
So
they've tried this year because they brought in Bissonnette for a
yeah, but that
game,
was
and they're
just
going to bounce in and out. I don't know if he's coming back again for. It sounds like from when he was in there, they're going to bring him back in and out. But when you're right, he's got nobody
he's
because
got
when he's
Blake Bolden. God love her. She knows so much about the game, and she seems engaging in some respects, but
deer in
her
the headlights.
her deer in the headlights and lack of contribution and lack of just sort of lightness and personality and lack of just any form of being interesting as a studio analyst. And then on top of that, you put this boring conversation in front of like the worst backdrop in the world. Like last year they did it in front of people and it was pretty bad because people could behave like idiots
I
in
hate
the
it.
background. It was
Hate
sort of
it.
like it was like a hockey version of College
Well,
Game Day on
it's
ESPN.
like that
But
local broadcasts. All those
now they're
local
doing it in
broadcasters.
like now they're doing it in like the bowels of the stadium. Like you've got like
That was
custodial
terrible.
people like sweeping up behind them in yellow vests. Like what is
I
happening
was
here?
texting producers where are they in the arena? I can't even
I was just
figure
like,
out where they
I
are.
kept
It's a dark
expecting like the
room.
Zamboni mechanic to like come out with a toolbox or something
Want a
behind them.
beer? Here you go.
But it was ridiculous.
Oh, so
But
bad.
I will say that they had Blake doing this in between period piece that was taped, obviously, with Lane Hudson, where they were skating around and he was skating around. First of all, with his little chicken legs, I can't believe this guy's a professional hockey player, let alone like all-star caliber. But he's skating around with his skates untied, and it was sort of a it was a piece that was dedicated to like almost his edge work more than anything else. It
Right.
talked about how he learned to skate growing up, and it was a semi-biographical, but it kind of got into the nuts and bolts about how a guy like him is different from other players.
Right.
And like and a lot of casual hockey player or hockey fans, when they tune in, hear things like, oh, he's got sublime edge work. And they may not understand that until you see something like that. And I thought Blake did a very good job and was very engaging in that conversation. I think it's just when she has to think on her feet and analyze a game
Well, it's
in
it's
real time that
confidence.
she just can't do it.
It's confidence. As you said, she knows the game. She's articulate. She speaks well most of the time. It comes down to confidence. She doesn't have the confidence, and they haven't surrounded her with people to help bring her into the conversation in the right way. Because when it's just her and what's his name, the host, she's not confident enough and articulate enough in terms of of and confident enough to bring the conversation to a different level and have to carry the weight versus having a panel of two or three people. She can't carry the conversation, and she looks like a deer in the headlights, and it's unfortunate because they're setting her up for failure and she shouldn't fail. And then one game, I think it was the Montreal game, I forget which game it was, they put her in between the benches to do commentary, to sort of be the third
Oh
person, the two
boy.
guys in the booth, and put her between the benches. And she was awful because she was trying to interject and get in there, and they were trying to draw her in, and she wasn't expecting. A couple times when they tried to draw her in, she would say something that was just like, what are you talking about?" It's like, come on. So it's unfortunate because you're right. She's articulate. She knows the game of hockey, but she's not confident. She hasn't found her sea legs, and they're not surrounding her with enough gravitas to help elevate her and educate her on it. And that's just and the whole, and I've said this from day one when their first broadcast, that whole in stadium with the fans behind them drinking beer, acting like idiots, is so local broadcast quality. Terrible, terrible. Get them out of there.
Well, they
Put them in a
did. They just
studio.
put nothing behind
Well,
them.
that was
Give me
that
the
one game,
studio.
but it was every other game they've got dummies behind them drinking and acting like fools. And I hate,
Yeah.
it's so stupid. Like, just get them out of there. And you know what? I would say this about the Amazon studio show or whatever you want to call it, game broadcast. It actually makes me yearn to listen to PK Subban
I knew you were going to say
and
that.
ESPN. And they last year were the lowest of quality as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, they had all the PK like virtual reality stuff that
Ugh.
had.
And bringing in Torts, I'm not sure is helping.
He's not a bubbly personality for the television. That's
We're
for
not coming
sure.
across as real bubbly at the moment.
No, absolutely. Hey, look, Canadians are playing well. I'm very
Yeah.
bubbly.
Excellent.
Okay, last thing I want to say because we got to go.
Yep.
Linus Ullmark trying to get into a goalie fight
Gotta
and then
love the
getting
goalie
rebuffed.
fights.
First of all, I love the fact that he goes 200 feet. Hate the fact that he jumps onto the back of the pile and the linesmen pull him out right away before he can get to who was the Senators goalie that
I
night?
forget. He was the Senators.
No, it wasn't. It was Washington.
Washington.
It was Charlie Lindgren.
Lindgren.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was Lindgren. You're right.
And it was Charlie Lindgren, and he couldn't get to Lindgren because Lindgren was in the middle of the pile, and the linesman pulled him up. And Gary Galley, as much as I hate the guy, was laughing because he's like, if the guy's going to skate 200 feet, let him get into it. For crying out loud.
Yeah.
He's put in the effort.
There's nothing
And-
quite like the goalie skate the 200 feet down the ice to get into a fight.
Yeah. And what I really wish I could have seen was like, as he's coming closer to center ice, is he picking up speed or is there a little moment's hesitation where he's like, should I do this? Should I not do this? Ah, screw it. I'm going in.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let him fight. And that just disappoints me. If you're going to let one goalie get in there, let the other goalie get
Yeah.
in.
Well, part of that's got to be some of the frustration of Ottawa. They've won two in a row, but leading up to that, they had a few tough games, and you could feel the pressure of that team and boiling over. Because I would say, some of those teams that were unexpectedly doing well, I got to say, and the injuries haven't helped them, but that's
Yeah.
one of the teams that are playing below what we expected them to play this year. And once
They
they
are
get
happy
healthy,
with
it'll
Shane
be
Pinto,
different.
though.
What's that?
He's playing. They are happy with
Yeah.
Shane Pinto.
Yeah,
Though. He's playing
absolutely,
great.
absolutely.
Anyway, I don't want to go on another tangent because
Nope.
we've already gone a little bit long.
Okay.
But I had to, as a sort of a amusing moment of the week in the NHL,
Absolutely.
I had to talk about the Ullmark 200-foot skate of
Yeah.
futility.
And as we go off air, we have to give some credit to Macklin Celebrini out there in the West, because I don't give a lot of West shout outs.
That's right.
As a teenager, he's only the third teenager to score 15 points in the first 9 games. Wayne Gretzky and Brian Trottier, the only other two. So way to go. And we'll talk about what that could mean for the Olympics going forward. So
Yeah, if he keeps that up, we'll talk about him in the Olympics.
absolutely. So we got a short week for the Habs. We got 3 games that the Leafs should win, and I will see you next week on the Aiming 5-Hole podcast. See you
All
later,
right.
man.
Go Jays and Dodgers.
See you
Jeez,
later.
I don't know what to do. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.